Forbes Books presents The Great Digital Transformation with Gerard Zatvani, highlighting the pioneers that reimagined possibilities and reimagined businesses. This week on the pod, we are talking about real examples of digital transformation with Fabrice Talbot, the VP of Products at Salesforce. Now, before joining Salesforce, Fabrice started a couple of companies and was a founding member of Community Cloud, now known as Experience Cloud, and helped it scale into a billion-dollar Salesforce business. We're going to get into usages of tech in business, tech adoption, and why data is at the center of everything. Hey, Jerry, how are you?
Great. How are you, Joe? Greetings from San Francisco.
San Francisco, man, it's hard to keep up with you, Jerry. Your frequent flyer miles must be through the roof. You're in San Francisco, and it looks like a hotel with Fabrice Talbot from Salesforce. So tell me about Fabrice. How do you know him?
Well, we've met about 14 years ago, I guess. So that's the age of your daughter, right? It was about
14,
the time.
yeah.
14 years.
Exactly 14.
And we've been working together on projects back then, working on a platform to kind of change the way documents are being processed. And ever since, we have been on and off working on things together, and we keep the relationship, interesting conversations. So it's been a long journey, and we still catch up from time to time on a good glass of wine, a good meal, and we have very interesting conversations about what's happening in the space. So that's the story.
Well, Fabrice, thank you for taking the time for joining us today. So how did you get to meet Jerry? What was your meet cute with Jerry Zatvani there?
Yeah, well, the story is interesting. I moved to San Francisco back in 2007, became an entrepreneur, and right away we became business partners, right? And it started as a business relationship, turned into also a friendship. And time passed, and I joined Salesforce. And Jerry, you've been very much involved into Salesforce, so our path crossed again. And yeah, it's been a great ride.
Yeah, it was quite funny when Fabrice told me he's working for Salesforce. Like, wow, guess what? We are also very much involved there. So yeah, we'll have many subjects to talk about.
And it's funny, Jerry, you always say that tech world is such a small world, and here you are, reuniting with Fabrice after all those years. So Fabrice, I want to ask you, because Salesforce is such a huge force in the tech space. I mean, it's basically like the Google of cloud management software. Like, everyone knows Salesforce. But for someone who works there, from the inside, what makes Salesforce so great? Why are you guys so good at what you do?
That's a great question. I think what makes Salesforce unique is really the people and the values we have at Salesforce. It's based on trust, customer success, growth, and innovation. But I think trust is our core value. And we had a discussion actually yesterday about how important it is in business. And I had to say I've been at Salesforce for over 10 years. I love the people I'm working with. But it's really important that as a product manager, we think about driving success for customers, innovating constantly. And I think Salesforce has been amazing at driving that innovation, but also finding that balance in terms of offering opportunities for the people, finding a good balance between work and lifestyle. And yeah, we are transforming the way many customers work, and I'm sure we're going to talk about that today. And that makes the place, that combination is pretty unique in the industry, and that make it very attractive to work for Salesforce. And actually, you might know that when you work in tech, especially in the Bay Area, you don't spend years and years within a company, right? Salesforce is slightly different, right? I've been there for 10 years. Many of my colleagues have been there for 10 years too, and we love it, right? So this is really a testament to the greatness of the company.
And Jerry, you've been working with Salesforce for quite a while. As the outsider, now an insider, what is it? What's their secret sauce?
Well, I think the vision, the relationship with partners, the way that vision is being implemented for their customers, our customers, obviously, and I think this all together, put the pieces together, makes these things unique. I don't think in this space where Salesforce is present, I don't think that there is anyone else who can raise to the same level of competitiveness.
Interesting. And Fabrice, you're currently VP of Product at Salesforce, but you're what a lot of people call a project manager influencer. You know how to deal with product managers. What makes a great product manager?
This is a great question. That's usually one I ask people I interview to see what they think about the skills of product manager. I think first, being a product manager requires obviously to know your space in your product, right? And know the process of building product, right? This is expected. What makes great product managers actually individuals who can inspire the team with a vision, help them not only buy into vision, but execute into that vision. I often tell my teams it takes a lot of courage to have a vision, sell it to your organization, and make sure that you can rally the whole team to work on this. It's very easy, I would say, to follow the status quo, and it's much harder to drive innovation and change, and that is important. The second thing, it's also, at the end of the day, very much people business, right? You need to build very strong relationship, trust relationship, whether it is with your peers, with your engineers, right? Being a product manager means that you work both internally with key stakeholders, right? And you work with customers too, and partners. So this is very important to be well-rounded into your relationship and really be curious again and be willing to learn from others, right?
Yeah, and I think on this part of working with customers and talking about digital transformation, this is where I think you have a very long experience in working with customers, understanding their vision, understanding where they are going, understanding how do you interact with them, and especially what are the interesting things that you have seen when they come to you? Like, what are the transformative projects that you've been through? Can you give me some examples, some interesting examples of very interesting ways of looking at technology, not necessarily naming customers or anything, but I'm really interested in the substance of what they want to transform, where they want to go.
Yeah. When we talk about transformation, it's important first to understand that we see two types of customers. If I had to simplify, there's customers who want to do digitization, right? They have a process, maybe going on paper, moving it to spreadsheets, or want a new software for their content. This is not really transformative. This is just streamlining a process. And we believe a lot into the true digital transformation, which is pretty much reinventing, in a way, your business. And a great example I've seen, and that will talk to you probably, the way you interact with your bank, right? You used to have in the past many agents at the bank who would get the check, right? Just get the check, maybe give you some money back, do just basic functions, right? And that whole industry went through a first phase of transformation where they let you now sign up online for your account and they provide you self-service, right? This is the first step. But this is not the final step in the digital transformation. What they're actually doing, and I talked to some customers, and by the way, at Dreamforce, we meet a lot of customers that come all over the world, and many of the smaller banks are trying to reinvent the way they engage with their customers. So not only it's about providing that kind of online digital side to access my accounts and everything, but they're thinking about engaging better way. What does it mean? If I want a loan with my bank, for example, I can start the process online on my account, filling some information. That information will be, and schedule the appointment, so it's very easy. And then my bank agent will receive the request, be able to have all the information needed to provide better service when I come and see him, as opposed to just coming on that day and start the discussion. So what they're doing is returning the employees into people who can drive growth, be much more productive with their customers, as opposed to doing manual tasks. And this is one example of transformation. There's another one, if you're interested, which is about buying a car, which is very telling.
So it's interesting, like you prepare everything, you prepare the meeting, everything is there, everything that the agents need to know, you already prepared, it's there. So when you show up, the meeting is not going to be about basic information. The meeting is going to be about a much more deeper conversation about your needs, about your banking needs, about your loan application, and probably they are able to give you a much better advice suited to your particular situation.
Exactly, and what you can do now with the right solution, in terms of digital solution, you can even advise your employee about what will be needed to maybe give the loan, right? So go faster to a solution, but also you might decide to sell different products, right? So you could use some kind of intelligence, right, to tell him, hey, probably for this customer you might try to bring that product. There's an insurance associated to this, or they might be interested into your new credit card. So you can also use those intelligent recommendations to better service the customer and grow your business. So this is really a shift in the way you kind of interact with the customer and try to find opportunities while driving value for the customer.
And so when it comes to digital transformation, the product managers, they're basically in the front lines of that transformation, right? Because it's the CEOs, like the big shots like Jerry, it's nice that they have all the big ideas, but it's the people like you, the product managers, the boots on the ground that really have to execute this digital transformation. So talk to me about the importance of the skills that it takes to guide these companies through these digital transformations you've been talking about.
Actually, we had that discussion just before joining the podcast today. I think many companies need help to drive digital transformation, right? They don't always, they might have the expertise or they might need help to gain the expertise. And the first step to help these companies, what I thought that work very well with customers is first when there's a kind of strategic alignment within the company that they need to transform their business, and the leaders are aligned on that need. Very often when we engage with customers, we meet the leadership and we meet the domain expert, right? And that domain expert is very often a champion, right? And you want that champion to be able to lead that project and have a trusted relationship and discussion with me, with someone like Jerry and his experts, so that you can really not only look at a list of maybe ideas or business requirements, but really have a discussion on what it means to transform the business. Very often, customers who want to drive digital transformation need to rethink the entire user journey or partner journey, depending on who it is for, B2C, B2B, and they really need to rethink the process and the way they engage at every step of the way with the customers. And very often they will know very well the current business processes, but they might not understand what you can do with the technology. And I'll give you an example. Today, when you go on, I'm on Fidelity for my retirement product. Today, when I want to get some support on Fidelity, I can just go to the support page and start typing a question, and I have a bot engaging with me, right? Intelligent bot, right? So this is a non-human interaction, and I start interacting, and when I want to change something on my account, I can just get an answer, right? Maybe I've seen companies doing on selling some product. Instead of just capturing your email, they're going to start interacting with you right away, intelligent interactions, right? So again, with automation, with intelligent discussions, and those are truly transformative approach. So to get to that point, right, typically not something you will discuss, you will have as a domain expert as an idea. That's where we can bring value in those projects. And very often people like Jerry and his company and any SIs have done many of those projects, right? And that's where I think there's a lot of value in terms of bringing the business experts from the customers with the implementers expert, but also the solution expert who know maybe what the product can best deliver and how it can be best achieved.
You were asking about the skills, like what makes this, like the good skills. I think one very good skill is to be able to tell your customers, your stakeholders, hey, this might not be a good idea, and here is why. I think this needs to happen, and if you believe that something is not right, something is not well set up in your process, in the way you interact with the customer, you read the requirements, the documentation, and they just don't make sense, they don't match up properly, you need to be able to tell the customer, hey, no, this is not working, this is not okay. Let's have a conversation. Why do you need that? Where is the return on investment? How do you connect with the rest of your use case, and have this kind of a conversation? I've been through many situations where we are, like anybody else, you're in a pitch for a project, and you are competing with others, and we are having this kind of conversations with the customer. We scope it properly based on the risks and everything. Probably we are a little bit too, too exact, too precise, and understand too well the risks, and we price ourselves out of the deal, or we don't engage it the way the customer might like it. We lose the deal. We meet the customer 1 year after, and he's telling me, hey man, I've been through this project, what you told me 1 year ago, we've been through exact those types of problems and issues with the projects, and I wish I could have done it in a different way. Sometimes, and it sucks because it's already too late, and the money has been spent, and time has gone by, and you could have delivered value in that situation, but try as much as possible to build like a trusted relationship. Be honest with what you are promising to the customer. Be honest with the vision that you are selling. Be honest with what you can accomplish, because this is not a sprint. This is a marathon. When you are in a transformational process like this is not a one-off project. It's not the initial project is just the first step, and that will lead you to another things, a more complicated setup. So I think trust, honesty in this process, and being able to say no, and having kind of an ethical standing in front of the customer, in front of your partners, I think it matters a lot. And this kind of verticality, it's what really defines us. So I think that helps a lot, like in terms of what are the skills, what do you think are, because in digital transformation, oftentimes you will face areas where you need to innovate, areas that are very different, and you don't know everything. So people that you can rely on, you can really trust to kind of guide you through the process and make sure that you end up where you want to end up.
And Fabrice, we plainly said the transformation, it's not easy. But then to add an extra layer of that uneasiness is resistance to change. So how do you promote the adoption of tech and drive transformation with these companies? Because, we're talking about all the people that want to do this, but then when we get down to it, there's going to be a few people along the way that that's not the way we did things here. That's not how we do things, that kind of attitude. So how do you work through that hurdle?
I think it's back to a point we discussed earlier. It's typically strategic discussion, right? And very often when we engage with customers, we engage with the leadership. We try to understand first the state of the business, right? Where they want to take it. And to your point, try to be trusted advisors on thinking about the art of the possible, right? What could be that new world? It's somewhere a bit of it's not a dream, but it could be inspirational. It has to be inspirational. And really it comes to the point that there need to be a buying on the customer side, a belief that this is the right way to go, a new way of doing business, right? The example I love that has been used in industry for the last few years, but some of our customers were the first one to do it, was buying a car, right? It used to be that to buy a car, you would go to a dealership, right? You will test drive the car and done. Now we have customers who've been rethinking the experience, right? And now you can go, as a customer, if I want to buy a car, I can go on a site, plan my test drive, but also select all the options of the car I really want to check. And I can send that, again, schedule online, and my dealership and the dealer will be able to, again, similar to the banker, right, receive that information and prepare my visit so that I have a great experience. And it's going to show me exactly what I want, whether it's the option of the Tesla or that BMW. I can have the best experience, right, as opposed to just showing up and just testing a car. And this kind of engagement, new experience, take trials, right? It's not like you come overnight with these ideas. And that's why very often I've seen success on customers that trust us, trust people like you to have a conversation that is beyond just executing on a project, something more transformative. And obviously with a bit of help, they can get there.
You know, I think very interesting situations are when you have the champion that comes mostly from the business side, and then you have people that are coming from the IT side that have been dragged into the conversation because there was no preparation to align them. They have been not buying into the dream. They have been dragged to the dream, and they are not aligned. And you can feel the tension between them. You know, like you have the business side, the champion, everything talking about the dream, and then the IT team behind saying, man, I don't even have budget, I don't have people, I don't have, they haven't talked to each other. It's kind of like a siloed conversation, and you and myself, and I believe you have also experienced that. You feel like you have to mediate somehow between them, and you have to make them talk to each other and see, okay, well, this thing needs to happen. It's a kind of a change management, a transformational project. How can I help you two to actually talk and collaborate on this project? Because believe it or not, sometimes people working for the same company, they don't gel together. It's not like it's happening. There is no chemistry there. So it's seen a few of these also.
And Fabrice, what do you give as sort of advice for the folks that work under you when they say, Fabrice, we're working this company, and man, one hand doesn't know what the other hand's doing. Like, what kind of advice do you give those product managers so they can sort of bridge the gap that Jerry's talking about? Because it seems like you guys are ready to help, but sometimes the people that you're working with aren't ready to be helped. So what kind of advice do you give to your own team members about that?
I think very often it comes back to our core value, trust. So we always try to be trusted advisors, right? So always tell my people, listen, first try to understand the customer, right? Because it's very easy from the outside to give advice. Put yourself in the shoes of the customer, but at the same time, try to be honest about what can be done and how they can best leverage your product offering, right? There's no need sometimes to sugarcoat things too much. Showing both the opportunity and also some of the limitations or best way to do things is a good approach. So for example, when we go to customer that might be a challenge on execution, we come with what we think is the right way to do things, right? And sometimes it might be slightly different than how they're approaching the project. We always try to show them what we think is the right way, the best practices, what we think is relevant to them, how they could leverage it, and also share our expertise and skills, right? They might not know, because very often the customer, and I think we discussed that, very often the customer will use our product, it will be the first implementation, and the first time you do something in life, right, it's always hard, right? It's like cooking, right? The first time you cook, you'll get it wrong, and then it's a second time, third time, and eventually you become an expert. That's how it works in life. Same thing here when you implement digital transformation. The first time is always the hardest. And we really try to be trusted advisors, but also maybe not. There's a point where you really try to help the customer be successful, and again, by telling him maybe what might be working, not working, and just being a partner, still letting them choose, and usually partnering with, we see a lot of SI in our engagement, partnering with them so we can bring back the project on track. But it's really the trust aspect. If you can keep the trust, you'll manage to get project very often back on track if they were not going.
You mentioned something earlier, the art of possible, like make sure that you're realistic about the deliverables. What do you need to accomplish? Sometimes, again, when people dream a little bit too hard, just the scope of that dream is a little bit big, and you need to bring them back on earth and say, well, let's first try to deliver something that is possible quickly. And because if you don't deliver anything, realistically speaking, you're gonna lose credits. You're gonna lose your sponsors around you, and the people that were supporting you will no longer support you. So that's.
And on that point, very often early in projects, we will try to meet both with business and IT, review the plan, and sometimes we give an assessment too on the plan. And we tell them also in terms of product where we are going, because there might be some innovation we decide to bring that will benefit them. And this is really a phase that we can add value early on the project rather than too late, right? And bringing, back to your point, bringing visibility and transparency to both business and IT in the same room is usually of very high value.
Let's move on to that dirty four-letter word, data. And I'm sure data for you, Fabrice, has changed from your early days, because back in the day, it was like, let's get all this data. Let's get this data, whether people know it or not. But times have changed. So talk to me about how your relationship with data has evolved over the last decade plus at Salesforce.
I would say in the past 10 plus years ago, you had data, right? But you had siloed data. So if you were in marketing, you could get data from your marketing campaigns. If you were in sales, you will get data from your sales deals. If you're in support, you will get data from your cases, and you will work within your department or division on that siloed data. And at best, it will take you a day, a week to get some reports that can be shared, another week or two to make a decision. So things were really slow. Yeah. When we think about digital transformation at Salesforce, we really think about delivering real-time personalized experiences, whether it's for customers, partners, and data plays a key role here. The first thing, to be able to deliver real-time personalized experiences, you need to understand your customer, right? So you need to be able to build what we call 360 profiles. So it's understanding the engagement of a customer on your sites, right? Understanding the type of campaign and they clicked on the email and what they've done. It's understanding what they purchased with you. It's understanding maybe the case and issues they had. It might be understanding also the physical interaction, right? If you have stores, have they been in the store? And you need all of that data.
Or car dealers.
Or the car dealers, right? Did you visit? How did it go? And so on and so forth, right? Typically, there are nowadays system CDPs, others that let you store that data, right, into one, let's say one big system database, right? This is the first step. But this is not the end, right? Because just getting the data is not going to help you transform the experience, right? And what you do with the data is critical. And one of the true innovation really here is to unlock the power of that data. So using the systems, you can create a rich user profile that combine all dimensions of your customers across all the channels they engage through with you. And you can really deliver unique experiences. So think, for example, of a shopper, right? You go on a site, you start the shopping cart, you don't complete it, and then you come back, right? And you're still not authenticated. Your system should be able to recognize that You came here, you went through several pages, maybe you liked that pair of shoes, you can make a recommendation, maybe automatically give a discount to help close the deal, right? When you think of a support agent, he's getting a call from a customer. What if now he has the whole 360 data on the customer? This is a high-value customer. There might be actually a warning that tell you, hey, because of this experience, the customer is at risk of retreating. So maybe we're going to give him a discount or offering something for free so that we can keep that customer. This is again data you would, this is leveraging your C360 profile in an intelligent way in the context of business process. If you're a sales rep, right, you might want to leverage all the information on the customer to be able not only to do a renewal on what he just purchased, but understand that he might benefit from buying a different product. And the key here is that you use the data, you unlock the data, whether it's on digital sites, your commerce site, your support site, but it could be also within your business processes, with your agents, with your sales rep, with your marketing. And this is really how you can transform the way you engage with customers. And the last thing, Gary, and I'm sure you see that a lot, it's not just about getting historical data. You need to be able to capture every data point in real time, right? So the customer goes on the site or visit the dealership, the data should come back into your rich user profile, and your system, your different business processes should be able to leverage that to take decisions in real time. Whether it's your people or whether it's an intelligent bot who is going to engage with the customers.
And when we are talking about understanding better your customer, you're having a customer 360 journey, generally people are a little bit cynical and say, yeah, because you want to spy on us and you want to sell us more stuff that we don't need. Actually, the good answer to this is that by knowing the people better, you can sell them more relevant stuff that they are actually in need. Because if they are on your site, if they are in your store, if they are in your context, that means that they have a need. They are not there just willy-nilly doing nothing, because they want something from you. Okay, so if they are interacting with you, then the goal would be to make that interaction meaningful. To make that interaction so that you can give value to that person that comes into your store, that comes to your business. And by knowing this, like I'm thinking, the way I'm thinking about sales, like a good sales person, it's someone who really knows how to listen to the customer's need. And this is like, if you want to boil down customer 360, it comes to this. Just listen and understand the customer in front of you. See what are the pain points. And at the end of the day, it's about, once you understand what is the pain point, try to be helpful. Give an answer that really helps the person in front of you. It's not so philosophical. Customer 360 might sound super philosophical, but at the end of the day, it's about understanding, listening, and then trying to help with something that is relevant for that person in front of you. It's not really that cynical. It's a little bit more down to earth, practical, respectful, listening, understanding, being helpful. That's how I'm looking at it. It comes back to some real basic concepts.
And Fabrice, if I could tie those two answers together, yours with Jerry, is we've got a lot of data, but in a way now we have to become better at translating that data. So how do we become better at translating that data and make it, like Jerry said, like, whoa, what do you need to know about this? You're going to tell me something else. So how do you translate that in a way so people understand you're coming at it from a good place, and that being able to put it in words that people can understand, like not nerds like you and Jerry, but like other folks can understand what you guys are trying to do with this data?
Yeah, exactly. And I think there's a great example in life. Look here, we are in a hotel, right? And when you check in, right, just imagine when the associate knows your profile, right? He knows that you like to maybe be on the top floor. He knows that you like to have your breakfast buffet, like to go maybe for a run. He might give you better advice, right? Just because he knows you, right? This is the data that can be helpful in that case to deliver better customer service, which means that you'll stay with the brand and you'll keep coming back to the place.
I've stayed at some point in Germany in not a very fancy hotel room, and then the next time I went back, the room temperature was already adjusted to my likings. My preferences were kept from my previous visit, and it wasn't like I spent thousands of dollars for a one-night stay. It was very reasonable, like say, look, this is a very interesting way of it, and I was like, wow, that's a nice experience.
We know you, you're part of the family, and we're going to treat you like one of ours, right?
And I don't think that this is so hard to make happen, because now all of these systems are integrated. You capture the data, you connect it to the profile. It's not such a sophisticated integration. I think, at least, like in my world, it doesn't seem to be a huge investment, and yet there are some people that don't do it. You see even big hotel chains that are capturing all this data about the customers, and that they are not talking to each other.
It's really the key is not about capturing the data. It's about unlocking the data in your core business processes, right? Whether this is associates at the hotel or the person who is going to drive you to the airport, you need to make it part of the daily work so that they can make decisions, they can interact with you, provide better service, right?
And I think that one other aspect with data, with all this flood of data, is to have the right tools to be able to interact with data, what's relevant, how do you read the data, how do you interpret it, how do you find the patterns, and this is where there is a significant interaction between the business people and the data people in finding the patterns, understanding what stays out, and there is also the AI coming on top of it too, that goes through the data and tries to find patterns, tries to find correlations and bring them up to say, okay, is this relevant or not, or is it just a coincidence, or is just something that happens, and so
that's in the AI, in machine learning, there's very interesting development that customers can now leverage. Many customers want to actually segment the users into meaningful audience, right? So that if you have a marketing campaign, maybe here for the hotel, you're going to send it to your top customers. You have a specific campaign and different one for the one who come once a year. And there is a way to actually use machine learning to enrich the profile of your users, maybe build a net promoter score, maybe build attrition risk score, and things that will help you qualify each of your customers, and eventually create segments that let you better engage, whether it's marketing, sales, or support. And this is really where I think AI and machine learning are very beneficial into augmenting the profile or the richness and the understanding of your customers, and again, unlocking this into real-time interactions.
And you brought up AI and machine learning, Fabrice. How does that fit into what you're doing? Like in terms of, we've been talking on the podcast recently about AI, but how does it fit into the product management space? What role will it play there?
AI is huge nowadays. And we look at AI as a combination of automation and intelligence, right? And most products, when we build a product, we already think about, hey, how do you scale this product? Like in example again of the hotel here, I've got maybe 50,000 hotels across the world with 100,000 or 300,000 people working in these hotels. How do I scale those processes? And AI could let you, for example, instead of answering customers on the phone online, AI will let you interact with the customers on the website through a self-service way, and start discussions with the customer and solve. Maybe you could have an AI that is built with a model that is built to understand the key problem of your customers when they come to the hotel, right? And that is intelligent enough to have a simple discussion to solve 80% of the problems, right? And suddenly this is truly transformative, and back to a discussion, because it means that your employees don't have to spend time on very tactical issues that don't drive the business. They can spend more time into either serving the customers or maybe selling new product. So conversational AI with bots is a great example. I think AI through data enrichment is another one. Also, I think of AI as in commerce when you want to actually do real-time recommendation to your customers online, right? AI can really help you based on your understanding of the customer to make a right recommendation, to upsell, cross-sell, or to your point, to bring the right product to the customer, right, out of the catalog.
But even like hotel rooms, like the question is, can I have a late checkout? That's probably a question that is being asked like thousands and thousands of times a day. I can
the only one who asked that question? People have asked that before. They want a late checkout?
Yeah, and it's sometimes it's like, okay, let me check. You should have that answer right there. You know, like when you identified me, you know where room I am in. The button of yes, late checkout or no late checkout should be there. It should be there. It should not be because it's a question that is being asked again and again and again and again. And this is where AI could come in and solve the issue. Maybe just in few cases you would need to kind of go in and check and do some extra verifications and whatnot. But 80% of the situation should be already a predefined answer.
Mm-hmm.
And lastly, Fabrice, there's this popular idiom that goes, living the dream. And you are literally living the dream, because I know many, many years ago, you wrote that your dream job was at Salesforce, which, I mean, a lot of kids dream to be, football players at Barcelona or play basketball with the Lakers. But your dream job was to work at Salesforce. Has your time there, your decade plus there, has that lived up to what you dreamt about many, many years ago?
Absolutely. And I'll share a story if I can. It's been my dream job, but it took me 5 years to access that dream, right? As you probably know, I moved to San Francisco in 2007 and became an entrepreneur. And nearly on that day, my wife got a phone call from Salesforce, and the next day she had a job, right? And that was the beginning of my entrepreneurship career until I joined Salesforce. But I had just to wait 5 years to join Salesforce. The good side of that story is that I had a spy in the company, which made it very easy to join Salesforce. And just to answer your question, it's been, I feel very lucky and blessed to have been part of that company. Great people, great values, but also we do build product that are at the cutting edge of innovation. And this is, being in that spot for so long with great people is pretty unique. And yeah, I feel very privileged for being here.
Joe, you're really good with Customer 360. You're doing your research very deeply. I don't know where you found this thing about Fabrice, but you did a very good job in doing your research.
Well, thank you very much. I know Fabrice is a good cook too. Apparently, Fabrice likes to cook. I'm not sure what he's cooking, but why are you so known for your cooking, Fabrice? What are you doing in the kitchen?
Well, he's French for a start,
and actually, my first startup here in San Francisco back in 2007 was Eatricious. Our motto was eat nutritious, eat delicious. And we really wanted to help Americans make better choice about food, healthy choices, and be able to also apply that by cooking. So yeah, coming from a French background, food is essential to life, right, for me.
Awesome. Well, Fabrice, make sure you take Jerry out to some fancy restaurant out there, and you guys enjoy the time. Fabrice, I really appreciate you taking the time to join us today. It's been a blast. Thank you so much.
It's been a pleasure, Joe. Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
That was Fabrice Talbot, the VP of Products at Salesforce, and you can find out more about him and connect with Fabrice on LinkedIn. This has been The Great Digital Transformation with Gerard Zatvani. To participate in the conversation, go to GerardZatvany.com. The Great Digital Transformation is a production of Forbes Books.